Welcome, everybody. This is the most exciting evening for me. We have a new category and information that we're going to be sharing with our team to be able to help you learn as much as you can and to edify everything the AO scan does. And I can't think of a better person to share with you who is doing such amazing work, Joyce Oglesby. And I'm getting chills right now, even just talking about you, Joyce, getting ready to
Uh,
come on here because I've been able to work with you. How long has it been? Have you hit your year anniversary yet?
Not yet. I've
Okay.
almost, I'll be approaching 8 months soon.
Okay. Which tells me I gotta do a better job of tracking my directs and like have a big woohoo, it's been a year. Okay. All right. So yes, I have been very blessed to be able to have Joyce on the team, but we came together under very unusual circumstances and it was such a blessing. We have a mutual friend and I'll go ahead and let you tell everybody like how you first heard of the AO scanner and then how you got connected to me.
Sure. I actually was not even thinking about, listening to anything about frequency that day. I actually was just listening to a podcast on Telegram, and Chief was on there, Ken, and he was phenomenal. But at the end, he was talking about his wife and the, I would say, I guess, miraculous healing that she went through because of what you had introduced to him, which was frequency. And if you want to hear about anything, if you have an issue, you have pain, let him know. And of course, I just, sent out an email really quickly. He said he would not answer anything until after he came back from Europe because, he and his wife were going there when I think she was not even expected to live long, and here's, they were going to Europe. It's an exciting story, and it gave me a lot of hope because I have a brother with MS, and I had been looking for something to help him for several months and praying about it because he just lives in excruciating pain. And so that's kind of how I just hopped on it. And Chief just said, you know what, I'm going to pair you up with someone else as the court reporter. And you and I share that camaraderie. So we're both court reporters or were. And so anyway, that's kind of how it got started. You were so gracious and willing to help Brian, my brother. And showed him and myself, because I was on the call, just how frequency could be beneficial to him. And I got the program, and it's been a journey ever since then, a fast and furious journey, I will say.
Yeah, well, I want to say Joyce is really accomplished and a very busy person in life. So I was helping Brian a lot at the beginning, but she could see at some point like I had so many other people to serve, and she says I got to get on this. And my brother, I gotta be able to focus on him more. And that I think that was the impetus for when you did finally uh, choose to join, but you had known you were going to, but you have such a busy life. You own your own court reporting agency. You've been doing it like 40 years, right?
Yeah, getting closer to 50 now. I've been in it a minute. It's like,
Holy cow. I bowed out after 13 years. It was a
so
good run, but
and I'm still doing it. I love it. I love, it keeps your mind crisp, and I'm kind of phasing out of it because I really am very busy with frequency, and I love
yeah,
it. I love it.
we
But
love that you
it's
are.
it's a different avenue for exposure to frequency. Look, I don't mind telling my attorneys and their paralegals and anybody, witnesses, even about frequency. I can't keep it quiet. I
Yeah, no, you're not one to not talk about it, that's for sure.
Right.
And it's that confidence level that I think has people to say, well, I'll try it, because don't you find that there's hardly a single person you talk to that really could, I mean, everybody could use it in some way, right?
Oh, listen, I don't care where I go. In fact, I'll share just a little brief story. We were at a swim meet for our granddaughter yesterday in, a different town, not my hometown, near my hometown, but not mine. A community that they don't know of me. But we stopped in on our way home to eat at a restaurant, and we had not planned to do that, but I think God sometimes has a different plan for us, and he definitely had something in mind then. But we were, seated in the back of the restaurant, and we weren't there any time before a family came in. And I don't know, I think cerebral palsy, the little boy has cerebral palsy. I would suspect that's it. And wasn't any time before he had difficulties, and was his mom had to take him to the restroom and clean him up, and it was I could tell that the dad was embarrassed, number one. I could tell that the mom was exasperated, number two, like, oh no, not again, kind of thing. But I sat there, of course, I prayed for that family, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do more than pray, I'm going to act. And so before we left, I didn't even have a card with me. And I do have my Solex cards, but I wrote down on a napkin my name and number. And I went over to the mom and I said, I hope you've had a wonderful dinner, but I just wanted to ask you, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I did want to ask you if you've ever heard of frequency healing. And she's like, no, is it something? I said, and I put the napkin down. I said, if you'd like to know about it, I'd love to share it with you. Give me a call. And she's like, is it something I can look up? And I'm like, of course. So I wrote down the Everything is Energy, episode 4, with Lauren Swinson. And I said, you look at this, and then if you're curious, you call me. And so I'm waiting. I am anticipating that call, because that mom will do that. I guarantee you. And she will get in touch with me. But these are things that I can't. And I was telling Webby, my husband, I'm like, I can't not do this. I mean, when you see people, I observe people that might be limping in the grocery store or in a bank or wherever they are. If they appear to be in pain, emotionally or physically, I put a card in their hand, and I tell them, I've got something that can help you. I have a little slogan that I have, and my grandson has come up with little logos for me, and I'm going to have some hats made up. Got pain? I've got a dot for that. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, I've got a dot for that. And I show them, the Cephi dot that I might be wearing, or a bracelet that, I might be wearing. And, I can fix that for you. I'm sure I can fix that for you. And so I just, you can't not tell people about it, because if you have any kind of compassion, and then if you have passion for AO, the two just go hand in glove, and you can't not tell people. And I just love shouting it from the rooftops. I love it.
And we're all independent, so we can run our deal any way we want. We could charge from the beginning, or we can offer to do it for free if we just want to be able to present it to them and show them. What do you do?
Well, it's interesting. Mine has always been, from the outset, it's more about mission than commission for me. Now, I've been on radio and television for years, and the Just Ask Joy show. I wrote several books and long ago, and that got me there. But I got tagged as the Family Life Fix-It Pro. Well, this is kind of just dovetailed with that beautifully, because, I was fixing relationships, helping to fix relationships, and emotions are a big part of relationships. And so now, I have introduced this frequency into that kind of mentoring, and I've mentored for free for years. And when I started this, I have not charged anyone. Now it's a little bit different, because I kind of have I call it a little home clinic right now. And I'm looking at expanding into a bona fide business clinic. Probably down the road, very shortly, I will do something like that. But, when I hear about people in the community, I put it on Facebook, whatever. If they contact me, I'm like, I will scan you for free. We can do it remotely, or if you live close to me, come and I'll scan you here. And so, a lot of people would not do that, would not open their homes and say, oh, come on in, but I'm a little different, just a little different. But, safe. I'm safe, number one, so I don't worry about that. But I have enjoyed the fact that, people have appreciated the fact that I will spend, an hour. That's if I'm lucky, I've got an hour in, 2 hours, 3 hours with people. And, when they limp in with pain or come in the door crying with pain, like one lady did today, she drove, an hour to my home and came in, crossing the threshold in tears and just like almost screaming, trying to, hold back her screams with pain. And
My
when
goodness.
she left, it was manageable pain, and she had a smile and relief. You could see the relief in her face. And, you know, now she didn't offer anything at all. The next lady came in, same thing, just no pain, excruciating pain, but an issue that, we're taking care of. And we saw pretty amazing results right then and there. And, and she did, she says, "Oh no, you're getting some money for this." Now, I have not done that yet because I wanted to finish my certification. Now I'm certified, and all of the certifications, I have finished that, and I finished some other courses with some other folks as well, and they're hanging on my wall. And so now, I'm getting together my price sheet, and I will be, passing it on to people. So, I just feel like now I'm, hey, I'm legit. It's not that I wasn't legit before, but Solex was doing it before for me. And now I've learned to put together, connect the dots, and I've learned to, um, just, kind of I don't want to say make magic happen, but understand how to put together a plan for people. And so I'm loving that. I love that whole concept, and the fact that I do understand that much, much better. Am I an expert? Not yet, but I am definitely getting results. And I love that. And I don't pat myself on the back. Again, it's all about Solex. Now, I have done lots of research, I will tell you. When I signed up for this, I signed up to make a difference. Not just for me and my husband, and we have experienced an enormous difference in our health. I mean, I had my yearly at the end of December, and I got back a pristine lab report. And my doctor, everything that he was checking on me, he says, "Oh, well, wow, this is looking good." And I'm like, frequency. I just dropped the frequency bomb every time. And then when he saw that I had weaned myself off of my thyroid, he was not happy. And he said, "Well, Joyce, I guess you won't mind a random blood lab today, unexpected, and we'll just find out how that frequency is working for you." And I said, "Sure, I don't mind." He called me himself the next day and said, "Okay, well, I just had to call you and tell you that I have never seen such a pristine lab report. I mean, you came back absolutely, I mean, spotless." He's like, "I would just tell you to keep doing what you're doing. And would you send me some information about that
Oh,
frequency?"
wow. Even the next step. A lot of times they just say, well, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it.
No, I think that's why I got the phone call, saying, "Hey, here's my email. Will you send me the frequency information?"
That's
So
great. Can you elaborate when you said you've got the certifications, they're on your wall? Can you elaborate which ones you've done?
yes, I have finished all of the ones of Solex through phase 3. And those are the ones I've done, a couple of others. I'm taking some classes from Dr. Daryl Roberts, which I just have loved.
Yeah.
And he is just, oh my goodness, he is absolutely amazing. And I just feel so fortunate, to be a part of that quantum wellness
Yeah.
portal of his. And I'm plowing through those classes right and left. I actually, when I say I did some research, I mean, like I've got this, almost 700-page book of, get your frequency on. Like, I think actually Connie might have been the one that, was talking about this.
Yeah, actually get
And
your freak on, right? Isn't that
yep,
cute?
get your freak on.
Yeah,
And,
that was
but anyway,
written by a Solex rep, right?
Sister Sodium, whoever she is, but let me tell you something, it's wonderful. But I wanted to share, and I teased you guys on the testimonial page that I was going to share, because I've been through just about I have been through every page of this. And, I have it highlighted and marked and everything for, what I'm looking for. But I landed on one yesterday at the swim meet. That said, it cures everything but death.
Ah,
I love it. And so, guys, for you who have the hub, mark down 412. 412 hertz. That's the one, cures everything but death. And I just thought, I'm like, okay, so that's good. And actually, this was the first time that I incorporated it into my plan today for people that were coming for help. And would I have gotten the same results? I don't know. From the first lady, perhaps not, because let me tell you, she has so much going on with her. And it was, she was a train wreck when she came in. But I just believe that maybe that frequency was, critical in maybe turning her around as quickly as we did. And I say as quickly, I spent 3 hours with her.
sure.
But I did, man, I was pulling out all the stops. I mean, I took her through, the easy scan first, got those the high frequencies, low frequencies, and then I did the supportive notes. And when I'm gonna say this, when Dr. Daryl Roberts puts his course up on Solex for you about helping, if you're a scanner, you want, take it. It is like phenomenal. But anyway, I ran all of the supportive notes for her that corresponded with what's going on. And she first, and then went to the emotions like Chief does. We dumped out emotions that were just really, really wicked for her. And then, she's like, oh my goodness, I just can't believe, she said, I feel so much lighter. She said, I'm like, okay, so now we can start to heal. So then we went to AO Tunes, worked on organs and DNA. And, after we got through with those emotions, and then, I took her to the hub, and we just did a workout with hub, and I did some lasers. And of course, I had the acupoints made easy, which is kind of it's an illustrative book. It's okay. I would tell you that I've got a lot of tabbing to do in this yet. I haven't had time to do, but I just wish they had a glossary or an index in it to say, okay, for back pain, go here. They don't. But anyway, so I've done my own. What's
That's
the point?
surprising. Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
What's the point?
Who wrote that book?
This other one is
It,
by Clara Cohen, Cohen. It's
Cohen. Okay.
Acupoints Made Easy. And it's a cute little illustrative book, but I had already started before I learned about this one. When I got my lasers, I'm like, okay, so what's BL4? What's SP30? I mean, what is that? So I started looking it up, and I just, I have my own little book and of acupoints and things. And it's, and I just called mine like, what's the point? And so I have it all. If I have back, if I have shoulder, if I have hip, if I have Alzheimer's or whatever, I've got the point for it right here. So, I have spent a lot of personal time and just plowing through and pouring through. And that's after my busy day, after I do a deposition, or court work and come home and then scan a few people, and then, of course, I have to put myself in here some too. I do have to keep myself fit. But anyway, and then I will sit up, 2 or 3 hours at night and just research and figure out, what point do I need to help my client that's coming in tomorrow? So I have a plan for that client when they walk in the door.
Yeah, I do the same. I do in my, when I get somebody that's interested in learning, I do an intake session with them. I tell them take 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer because they just talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But it should just take 15 minutes, right, to find out what's the main issue you want to focus on.
right.
You may have 20 things going awry, but I really kind of, in the time I have, I want to focus on that one thing that's most important to you. And it's usually the pain, right?
Oh, yeah.
Getting rid
Well,
of the pain point.
listen, if you talk about pain to people, they want to escape it.
Mm.
I kind of, it's interesting because people, think that pain is just from, they've lifted something wrong or they've turned wrong. And typically that might be, kind of the breaking point for them, I call it, because the onset is usually something else. It's because, you've got, parasites in this area, your digestive system is way off kilter, or, you've got miasms that have, are now manifesting themselves into a situation, and it's showing up because what you did, 30 years ago, now you can't do, because you're older. Well, yes, but because all of these you know stressors in your body have now caught up with you. And so it's really interesting to see people's reactions whenever they see those, those emotions from the inner voice. Oh, people, I
Yeah.
mean, it nails them. It nails them. It also nails their imbalances as well.
Okay. And then I was writing down kind of what you did for your client. Do you put erase in there anywhere?
I do. I
Eh,
do. Yes, I do all of that at the beginning. I start there. Um, I've just gotten my erase back. I know a lot of people may have had some issues with that, but thankfully Solex has worked all of that out now. And so, I saw where I can't remember, one of you or Connie or somebody, maybe Randy or Steve even was mentioning that they erased several times. Now I had not done that, to erase until they say that the pain has gone away. I did not do that. I erased my 3 times. I do the 369, with Tesla and
right.
his formula. So I usually erase 3 times and then I dig in. But it's
So, so Chief, who's our mutual friend, I know that he likes to erase until it stops dropping. Like he maximizes everything he's doing until they're like, it's not making a difference.
mhm.
And then he'll move on to the next thing. I tend to have so much in my session plan that I've created from my intake that, like, I maybe get a little bit impatient. I'm like, okay, we did that. Let's go to the next one. And I have to remember maybe I should stay on this a little bit longer until it doesn't appear to be making a difference. So
Right.
that's just a little tip that somebody wants to try that way too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that everybody will kind of adapt to their own technique. I've been asked by several people, it's like, why do you get, how do you get all these results? And, I would just say to everyone, it's kind of like faith, I mean, our faith in Jesus Christ and our Lord, it's like, yeah, I can pray to God, but if I don't believe that he even exists, if I don't believe in his power, if I don't believe that in the power that he left within me, which is the Holy Spirit, yeah, am I gonna experience anything from that? I just think that a huge part of this, and I believe that with AO scan too. If I go in it with a lack of confidence in the system, then it's going to show as a lack of confidence in me as well. And I believe 150%, and I tell people this all the time when I'm talking to them about frequency and about signing up. I believe in this 150%. And um, I have never not had results. Have I never had the results I wanted? Yes, but I have never not had results. And the one person that I didn't get the results from that I really was hoping for was obstinate about frequency to start with. Very much a disbeliever, very much closed-minded, very much, yeah, like, so, um, did I get more results than what she was willing to say? Maybe, but it's irrelevant to me. I did the best I could. I did what I could, of course we were snowbound. We had, 12 inches of snow and nobody could go anywhere and she was in pain and I did it remotely. And, but I believe that, I did the best I could and I believed in the system. And so I feel like, you have to go into it with a degree of confidence in what AO Solex has put together for us. They've done all the work. We just have to learn to operate the system
Just
and
implement.
use it. Yes, exactly. And put it, make it work to the best of our ability for the people that we have the opportunity to serve. And
Mhm.
that's, to me, that's what I look at. I believe that every day is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to to tell somebody about frequency, to maybe show someone about frequency, and then maybe to sign someone up with frequency. And one, hey, if I get the sign up, that's an abundance. That's a plus, and I give myself that abundance frequency every day, anticipating that, maybe they will. And but the people, once they have seen the results, almost every time they will sign up, almost every time. You can't refute what really you experience with AO scan, and everybody does experience something, some
Yeah.
relief of some sort.
So, I do a talk, and in it I say, we were taught classical Newtonian physics. Probably less than 1% of the public like is even really aware. They've heard the word quantum physics, quantum mechanics, frequency, and Randy just put a note up that at our core, every human, is frequency. Um, but what I try to explain to them is like, you may not understand how it works, but really how quantum frequency works is with intention, just like prayer. So if you intend that your frequencies are going to reach this person and they will do the things that they need to do, and you expect certain things during the process, like you said, we would like to see it drop. We always want to go from an 8 to 10 down to a 0, but a 3 is a win, right? It's like,
Oh, yes.
and I bet you we could get to 0 if we have more time with them, but not all of us have like 6 hours to sit there and work on it.
Oh,
But
right.
I think it also opens up, do you see what we did do in the little bit of time we had? Could you imagine if you could run this on you all day long when you're not with me, like it's not an appointment and we don't have other things to do in life. So, but I do talk about the intention, and I do think it's most important for the practitioner to have the intention. And I do let other people know, you may not know what's going on. You may just have an open mind, and that's enough of a little sliver of light coming through that crack of the door. That's your free will telling me that you're willing to receive what I have to give. And so that's enough for me. I come fully loaded, like we're gonna
Well,
do something.
yeah, it is. And it's interesting. A gentleman, I try to put up, and I think this is another, maybe a little tip for you guys. If, you would like to expand, maybe your signups and your downline. I post things on, my social media. Like I was fortunate when I went to, Florida, last week, a couple of weeks ago, that I actually got to film. My sister filmed for me working on her friend, and she allowed me to post it on social media. Well, that got lots of attention because here we had someone who could barely get up on the. I took my massage table, I took my infinity mat, I took my wand, I took all of my bells and whistles with me, and we did an event there, but she could barely get up on the massage table, which is not high, and without tears too. But then at the end of it, you can see, and if you go to my Facebook page, you can check that out. But at the end of it, she was sitting up, bending over, and just, I mean, relaxed, crossing her legs, Indian style. I mean, she was doing wonderful. And so that gets people's attention. But I had this one gentleman come to me because, you know, someone had posted some of the results that they had gotten from, um, you know, some work that I had done on someone. And so this gentleman reached out to me who had not had any use of his dominant arm, his right arm, for a year and a half plus. So he had been involved in a car accident, a rear end, and he had injury to his C5-6. And the doctors had said, unless you have surgery, you're not going to get better. And you might not have use of your arm. He couldn't even pick up a coffee cup empty, much less, you know, one with coffee in it or anything else. And he said he could write, but it was difficult to write, and he couldn't write for very long. But they said, you know, without surgery, you're not going to ever have use of your arm. And if you if you do have surgery, it's only 50-50 chance that you will. Well, he didn't like those odds, so he hasn't done surgery. But he came here, and the first day, he went home and he started, you know, pressing, doing 12 reps of with a 2.5 pound weight, and that was a big deal to him. And then the next day, he went home and did 22 reps with a gallon of milk. So imagine this man who has been told that there is no cure for this without surgery, and then you might not have use of your arm after that. This man is delirious. I mean, delirious. And within 4 sessions, I mean, he was like, you know, this is amazing. And now he wants to tomorrow he's bringing his wife because she has some difficulty. So, you know, there's just so much opportunity for us to help the world. And the thing is, what I have noticed, Wendy, and I'm sure that you and Connie and you know, everybody on the team has noticed, that frequency it's becoming a household word. I mean, there are lots of people who still haven't heard about it, but it's becoming a household word. I told people, because I've been doing research on frequency for probably more than 4 years, because my brother got injured, and I was into frequency before that, just listening to Tesla at night to sleep and to heal by, and loved it, but didn't know there was anything beyond that. But then when Brian had so much misfortune with COVID and everything that happened since then, and the MS and all, I wanted to do something to help him. And so I've dug down rabbit holes, but so I've been telling people for 2 years that frequency is coming to a hospital near you, and it'll be there by the end of 2024. And lo and behold, I live in the Corydon, Indiana area, which is only about 25 miles from Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky, at one of their major hospitals, opened a frequency unit in September. And then in our little town, our hospital is an affiliate of theirs. Our little hometown in Corydon now has its frequency unit. So it's here because, you know, they're not going to want to not be able to charge the big bucks for frequency, which
Right.
we don't have to pay the big bucks for.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that because people can come to us and get a really affordable price versus, I'm
Exactly.
sure, I can't even imagine what they're billing the insurance for that.
I would love to. I will know, because I do have an insider, but she's trying to find out for me. And I'll know. But I do know that in Florida, there was a cancer center that treats with frequency.
Mhm.
My friend's mother's best friend went there, and but she was paying a big well, her insurance company actually excuse me, her insurance company actually paid a little bit of it, which I was really surprised. So that tells me that not only are the hospitals acknowledging frequency now, but so are the insurance companies.
Mhm.
So, but it was still a big price tag.
Yeah, I had some people over at Easter, and the frequency came up, you know, what he'd been doing these days. And it was this woman was probably about 70 years old, and she said, yeah, I just had some physical therapy and they used frequency on me too. I believe in it. It works. And my mom goes, yeah, Wendy worked on me and I haven't had pain in my knee for like, I think it was like at that point, like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
So that was the first I had met anybody who had gotten medical treatment that included frequency. So I do know it's out there too. Hey, I want to say, because I know you go to the extreme. You are just I think you've got 96 hours in a day, it seems like. When I hear everything you do, I'm like, oh wow, your brain works differently than mine, and it's beautiful. I would love to be where you are. So when I got started, I just want to encourage everybody, when I got started, I was truly ignorance on fire. Like I didn't know a lot about frequency. I wasn't using it beforehand. I just walked in, one of my favorite testimonies, and I'm not going to tell it here, but within 45 minutes, the gal was like in great shape. And within 5 weeks, she was back on the pickleball court, and she had been literally like almost bedridden. So 5 weeks back on the pickleball court is great. But I didn't even know what I was doing then. And I didn't have my session checklist. I didn't have my routine. I didn't have what I thought was best, the best form for it. So as much as you do, and if it's studied and as great as it is, I also want people to know you can fumble through it and still help people. And
Yes, you
yeah,
can. I did for a long time, so.
yeah. So I just don't want, there's a lot of people that can be watching this and and they don't have the time or the energy to go to the degree that you have, but you could still help your family, you can still help yourself. You do not have to make it complicated. It may not be perfectly intuitive if somebody just handed it to you, but if you just watch a couple videos, isn't it really simple when you actually know what to do? Isn't it simple?
Well, it is simple. And, and that's what I tell everybody that, they're like, I don't have the knowledge you do. And I'm like, I didn't have it either, but AO does. They've done the work for us. All we have to do is apply it. And
Button, push it.
yeah, yep, just
The
push the
frequency
button.
you
That's all you
want
have to
and
do.
push it.
Right. Well, and I do go the extra mile again. I do Zooms with my teams, and I do, I have a basics 101 class, I have a basics 102, and anytime I learn information, I'm like sending out little blurbs to them. Anyway, I help them with protocols. Whenever someone signs up, it's like, okay, I'm gonna not just send you to the basics course in with AO, but I'm gonna send you my basics 101 class. I'm gonna send you my AO tip starter sheets. I'm gonna help you. I will help you because I want them to get the experience they deserve from AO scan. However, you can lead a horse to the trough, but you can't make them drink.
Sure.
And so I encourage them. And then if they write me back, I'm like, look, what more do you want me to do? I can't be there to wake you up and say, okay, now turn on your frequency, give your, do your little inner voice or your 10-second voice. And, you have to administer the frequencies yourself. And it doesn't have to consume your day, but you need your frequencies. And, so if you want to get the best result from your, your bang for your buck, which who cannot afford, I mean, $149 for a dock in the box is amazing. Yeah. And I mean, you can affect the world around you. Ever how many people you can get in your little circle of your day to help, and then even just send the multicast to, it's like, it's wonderful. I mean, imagine you would never get that much for $149 anywhere else. I just think it's wonderful. But yes, it does not have to be complicated. No, you do not have to go to the degree that I do. I'm a little, God just equipped me to be this way, and I've been helping people for a long time. And, now he's just given me another enhancement to do that. So
There's two things I know from having been in sales a long time. People spend the money on the things they want.
yes,
And $150, if somebody's telling you that that's too expensive, they just haven't been educated enough. They literally have not been educated enough because, for one, we have the plan where if they got involved with what we did and loved it and shared it, 3 people, and it won't cost them anything. But if they just use it as a customer, then they could save money on their supplements by putting it in and have it tell them
Oh,
what to
I know.
take. I mean, you could save hundreds per month if you're a big supplement person. And just all the other things you talk about, like if it can keep you from, how many people have we had come into our team testimonies page and say, I was feeling like really sick and I did whatever, and they knew it kept them from going to the emergency room or something, or not the emergency room, what's the one before it, the urgent care,
Urgent care.
right? Because most people go to urgent care because the emergency room is such a bad experience. But yeah, so that excuse isn't super valid, but I try not, that just tells me I have more work to do
Right.
to help them to understand. But yeah, I've seen stories before where people didn't have the money for it, but then they're on Facebook, showing off their designer bags and shoes and this and that. And it's like,
Yes. Well, I love sharing the story where the lady was scanned and, she showed up as stroke index. And she showed up with a valve that was, a chronic one, and it said seek medical advice. And she said, "Oh, I know about that valve. It's probably just because it's a foreign material in my body because, they replaced this valve in my heart 2 years ago. And so that's probably why the frequency showing up." I'm like, okay, but it says seek medical advice. And I, you might, just want to do that. But a month later, she didn't. And a month later, she had a stroke. And then 3 months in rehab, came out and had double vision. And, she heard I was speaking somewhere, and she came, and she had just come from her uh, brain doctor, her neurologist, and her eye doctor. And they both had said, there is nothing we can do there. It is a disconnect in your brain, and you will probably, have double vision for the rest of your life. And so, when she walked in the door, we spoke, I mean, I was here and she was looking here, so it was, I knew that she was struggling, but within 10 minutes, her vision came back. I put her on a scan, did the AO tunes with her, with the brain, I had my AO tune transducers with me, held them on her brain. I mean, in near the eye, and I mean, everything, her vision came back just like that. She was doing a happy dance. Let me tell you, she could
so you
not.
went straight to, you didn't go through all these other steps. You went straight
Did
to
not.
the
I got her,
AO section.
I got her voice. I got her voice again, her updated voice, and just went because, I was doing an event and there were a lot of people wanting to, but I concentrated on her. And I mean, she was doing a happy dance. I mean,
Oh,
it
sure.
was crazy. So just that little bit of frequency, just that was, all that she needed. And they were right. It was a disconnect, but those frequencies cleared out the blockage. And, so I love telling that because, when people understand that, the AO scan is educational. It is something that's going to alert you that you might be wanting to take note if you're having an issue with something. Like, the other day I learned that, hey, if you're having the bladder show up on your scans, it might be that you're going to have a cold or the flu coming around the corner. And, I was just doing some research on it and just found that. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And guess who it was? It was me. And so I started running the scans, and literally the next day, I started getting some symptoms of a cold or flu. And so I started running my scans, and I negated it. I was like so excited. So now I don't mind telling people things like that. But, I love letting people know that it is just an educational forum for you to let you know that there might be trouble on the horizon. What are you going to do about it? And it gives you the suggestions. But then it also not just gives you the suggestions, but it also gives you the frequencies to help support it and maybe even heal it. And, that gets people's attention. Those kinds of little stories that you have, like, the stroke index, seek medical advice, those kinds of stories really gets people's attention, and especially if they show up on one of the scans with that. So, you might keep that in mind as well.
Well, one thing we know that most people don't is that it will show up in frequency well before it will manifest in the body to the point where you are seeking medical attention for it.
Exactly.
So wouldn't
And
we rather find it early, work with it, and maybe never have to get to that point?
I did a database on a gentleman that I mentored in my other capacity as Family Life Fix-It Pro. And then when he saw me doing the frequencies thing, he came to me for that. And when I did the database, it came up. Listen, he had so many hits with cancer all throughout his body. You talk about, I mean, it was like all over it. I'm like, okay, of course, I debated, do I show him this because I know he's going to worry? He's a worry wart, or do I not? And but I knew that he would want to know. And I said, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We have a plan. We're going to do this. This does not mean that you have it. Although he said, but Joyce, I have a doctor's lab report from a year and a half ago that shows leukemia. And I asked them, what were they going to do? And he said, the doctor told him, well, when you come up with full-fledged leukemia, then we'll work on you. And that was their answer.
Incredible.
So he has been worried ever since then. Of course, he had like multiple hits with the leukemia. And so we just started working, and I did the sucrose tablets, and I did the big database where it tells you whether you're foundationally ready for the DTs, what DTs and what supports you need. But I'm gonna tell you, he was a happy camper when we had to do that 2 or 3 times. But I'm like, you're going to stay on this course and you're not going to deviate, and you're going to do this. And so he has, and he was such a big skeptic of this frequency thing. But now we've run 2 databases on him since then, and not one sign. And I'm like, see, so okay, so now those frequencies are being cleared out. It was your miasms that was pulling up these red flags. And so we've been doing the DTs on these miasms. And so here you are, look, he has just been thrilled. And, so, and he says, Joyce, I feel so much better. I feel better now. And he said, I haven't felt like this, but he was losing weight, like lots of weight. So we had some reasons to be concerned. But I'm loving the fact that just in a month's time, the results that have come back for him.
Now, you mentioned miasms twice, and that's not a word that the general public knows or understands. What is your understanding of miasm?
Well, I love throwing that word out as much as I love throwing out frequencies, because it gets people's attention. Like, miasm, what is that? Well, when you go to the doctor, do they ever, when they do their intake form, do they ask you, has anybody in your family had cancer or diabetes or heart issues or whatever? Well, that's because you have a predisposition for that. It is genetically passed down to us, and that is what miasm is. It's a genetic predisposition, if you will. It's in our DNA. It's like, it's been passed down from grandpa, or the great uncle from, your grandma's side or whatever, but it's in us. And if we don't clear those out, they when we're young, they might not manifest themselves in any form. But as we get older, the more toxins we have in us, the more bacteria, the more parasites we get, then our organs and our systems are even more compromised by all the things that are going on with it. Then the miasms might rear their ugly heads and say, oh, well, okay, so let's just see how you do with Parkinson's. Let's see how you do with Alzheimer's. Let's see how you do with rheumatoid arthritis or cancer. So you know, but I had never heard that term. No doctor had ever mentioned that term. And when I mentioned it to my same doctor who I told about frequency, who said he was obviously out of the loop, I said, well, have you ever heard the term miasm? And he's like, well, probably, he couldn't come up with it at all. And I'm like, why don't you guys tell us about this? All you ask us is just, is it in our history? But why don't you tell us like the importance of it, the significance of it, but better yet, how we can get rid of it. And I'm like, because you don't have the answers to get rid of it, but frequency does. So I just love, I love the confidence that I have, the boldness that I have is, and those things are, sorry, that confidence and that boldness came from seeing results. And it's one thing for Solex to tell us, I love the information they give us, but it's yet another to get up to that standard of, I've seen it work. And now I can say with, 150% assurance rather than just 100% assurance that it works. So let's try it on you. What have you got to lose? Nothing. You have everything to gain. You have nothing to lose because frequency does not hurt you. This frequency does not harm you. There are frequencies that will, but this one does not. So let's go.
Why would they put a frequency in our system that could harm you? That would make no sense, right?
No sense, right?
They just get the goodies.
Yeah.
So, have you mentioned your favorite achievement so far? You have so many, it's probably even hard to remember now, but like I can like on a dime pull up like with 3 or 4 of my favorite moments that were so impactful. And thankfully they happened early on for me. So it really gave me that edification that I'm on the right track. Keep going, keep going. This is a good thing.
Well, it might have been the very first day that I got the system when I was begging my sister to let me help her because she had just had cancer removed from under by her shoulder in the and she was in such severe pain that she couldn't stand it, and she can't take things for pain well. And I just kept begging her. I'm like, I know I just got my system, but let me try it out on you. And I'm like, what have you got to lose? And she kept saying, no, no, no. Well, by about 10:30 that night, she said, yes, yes, yes. Let's try it because I'm in so much pain. And she makes jewelry, and she actually makes the little, the bracelets too, by the way, that can be loaded for pain and things. And, but, she let me try it, and within they had told her that she couldn't use her arm for two weeks, and she had jewelry contracts that she had to make for Mother's Day that was coming up. But anyway, we did the frequency, and within no time, I mean, I don't even know that I had gotten through like a 2-minute session. I was just like so new to it that her pain went away, and she didn't know how she was going to sleep that night, and she has never ever felt a second's pain ever since. And started making jewelry the next day when she got up, and never
That's
stopped.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I got a text from you. You're like, help, what do I do? I need your advice. It was somebody that was in your house that fell ill.
Yes. Oh, yes. That was really, that was crazy time. A lady that, just needs money, and I help her, and I don't have a big house to clean, and I can clean it myself, but I let her clean my house, and she went into almost a diabetic coma. She had a diabetic episode and came in, and I don't have sweets in my house. I don't do sweets. I did have honey, but at the time I was trying to call 911. And I was treating a lady who had broken her leg, and I was running a scan on her. And so I called, I said, you stay with her. She hobbled over to her, and I'm like, you stay with her and give her, some, I'm like, I've got honey, I've got sugar, do whatever you need to do. But I've got to call 911, and I had to step out of my house because we live in this like zone where cell towers, there's not service much. So I had to step outside. and do that. They were ridiculous, as 911 sometimes can be, wanted her date of birth and all this information. I'm like, I don't know this, but you just need to get here, so long story short, by the time they got here, I had pulled out the frequency, and I was like, is it safe for me to do this? Because I wasn't sure at that point whether it was. That was pretty early in my frequency days,
Yeah.
so I mean, of course, I'm still early, it's less than 8 months, but um, I started running frequency, and by the time they got here, she was well under control. And of course, they were saying, "What are you doing?" But um, anyway, so that was really amazing. But I would say probably the one of the most endearing ones is my husband, because
Oh,
Webby has had heart issues since he was a kid. He had open heart surgery when he was 14, but
okay.
he went into AFib about 18 years ago last month. And for 17 and a half years, he's had ablations. They've killed him and brought him back to life and done all that, but um, he's never had a perfect rhythm since then. And 3 weeks after we started AO scan, he got his first normal EKG, and his heart function capacity went from 36% to 47 in 3 weeks time. His doctors could not believe it. They're like, "Oh, well, all that medication's finally working." And he's like, "Well, actually, no, in 17 and a half years, it's not done anything. But this frequency program, I believe, has." And of course, they didn't want to hear any of that. But, of course, you always want to help the ones you love. And, I've helped siblings. But my husband has just, I mean, he's turned around. He has more energy. He used to come in and sit in the chair and go to sleep. He doesn't do that anymore. He never misses his frequency. He gets up and he's going to start his frequency because he believes in it. And, it doesn't take you long to understand that, what medical science can't do, quantum science can.
Yes. And I try to think of myself as an educator. And like you said, I love what you said. I am more about the mission than the commission. I have not heard that before. I love that. And that's what I do. I put myself into the person, and I don't worry too much about the outcome. I expect a great outcome. And if they get it for themselves, great. If they don't, okay.
Yeah,
It's not this roller coaster of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna hope I make a sale and then they don't want to get it and then I'm devastated. It's like I'm sad for them because I know if they would get involved and really learn more and be a part of what we do, we could all, make huge changes for the entire world. There's a lot of people out there. I think we're at 8 billion, close to 8 billion on the planet now. A
yes,
lot of people that need this help because even if even if you haven't manifested with any um disease yet, we are being bombarded by a lot of things on this planet, right? A lot of electromagnetic activity that is negative and it's throwing us off. So a lot of people have, we ask these questions all the time, like, why do so many people seem like they're having just the hardest time, like managing stress and anxiety, all these kids with anxiety. And it's like, well, because we have all these dyes and colors and artificial things, and they're poisoning our soils, and we're even if we do try to eat really well, we're still challenged, right? So
right.
I feel like 100% of every single person walking needs a frequency balance. And they would do good to have it like every single day. So our market is huge. Our opportunity to help is huge. And for those with a helping heart, this is a great place to be, right?
Right. And again, guys, just, don't be embarrassed I mean, I keep cards on me, and when I'm in the grocery store line or the bank line or whatever, I'm just like, if I hear a cough, if I see a limp, or if I see, pain, or I'm like, have you ever heard of frequency? You know, that I might can help that. I give them a card. They can throw it away. Listen, I went into CVS and I vowed I'm going back. And I'm going back with my cards. I went with no cards that day. I was picking up my husband's medication for his heart. And this was at the beginning of the year. And I went in and I noticed I was like 10 people deep in line. And they had 3 counters and somebody at every counter. And some people were walking away distressed without their medication in their hand. And I'm like, what's going on? So when I got up to the counter, she's like, do you realize how much this is going to cost you today? And I'm like, well, I guess it's going to cost us what it's cost us in the past, $140 for, 2 medications. And she says, well, there's been a slight increase.
Hmm.
The medication was 600 and some dollars
Oh, no.
for and that's after insurance, after, our Medicare, and everything kicked in. After that, I'm like, so is this why you're sending people away? I'm like, what do people do with fixed incomes? They just leave without their medication. That's what you've been doing, sending them away. And I told her, I'm like, this is not your fault. I get this. You're just an employee, but this is Big Pharma's fault. And I turned around to everybody and I'm like, we are at war. We're at war. And there is something that we can do about this. And it is called frequency. We are at war, and with frequency, we can heal ourselves. We don't need Big Pharma. And I was like, I so wish I had my card, but if you want my name before I walk out of here, you let me know. I'm like, I know, there was probably a time I'd be thrown in jail for that, but I don't have to worry about that right now. But, I know that I could be called a rebel rouser maybe, but it's our time. This is our time. There has never been a more ripe time for us to tell the world, because this has been suppressed from us for years. And now it's not. And I get up and I thank God for Lawrence Winson and the team, the Solex team, every day. Every day. We are ripened to harvest right now. And I've compared it to other frequency programs. I have, and I tell people that, oh, this is rife. Well, it's more than rife. Yes, we have all the rife frequencies, but we have more, and so, this is free. Solex has done an incredible job. And, it's time for us to get this out to like the little boy last night. I've prayed for him already 20 times since I left that restaurant last night, and his family. And I'm praying that I don't care whether they sign up through me. I just want them to sign up with Solex. I just want them to dig into finding out what Solex might have to offer their child and them, that maybe, they could be set free from the burden of what are we going to do with him when, we're 70 and he's 40,
Mhm.
those kinds of things.
Right.
So, yeah,
Well, I know
we,
frequency helped Lauren's son with cerebral palsy.
I know
So when
that's,
they see that video, when they call you and you share that video, they are going
I
to be
know.
on
I've
fire.
already, well, I wrote it down, so I'm pretty sure she's going to look that up. But
Yeah.
like I said, I don't care whether they call me. I just want them to discover Solex. And I think it would be a plus if they would. I'd love to help their little boy. I'd probably, bring him right in here and hook him up on the hub. If,
Yeah.
I, what I'd give for one of the $78,500 theta chambers, but anyway,
Sure.
but,
Yeah. Well,
so
I think that, and you probably even know the Bible more than I do, being a preacher's wife. Um, I think it's biblical. Like we are to put it out there, but we are not to be attached to the outcome. But if we don't put it out there, I feel like there's something on our heart, like I could have done better.
yeah, God gives us opportunities every day. And, and it's our job to put the word out. It's the other person's responsibility what they do with it. That's not on us, because and that's what I do. I mean, there's where Paul says, when you've done your best, shake the dust from your feet and leave the town, so, and that's what I do. I do my best to inform people. I do my best to help people. And if they are open to it, great. And if they're not, shake the dust from your feet and move on. Move on to
Perfect.
those, to the fertile ground, because, at some point they're gonna wish they had listened. They're gonna wish they had kept my card. They're gonna wish that they had known about Solex earlier. But,
Well, we're not going anywhere. They'll find you. They'll hunt you down.
they will.
Do you think this is a good time to take some questions?
Sure.
Okay, and before we go, if you have anything on your heart that you really want to share, we'll make sure we get that in. Randy posted something. I don't know if he wants to come out and ask it, but I can go ahead and read it. He's not coming out. So, okay. So he says, I have a client who has just been told she has fluid on the spine. Oh, what's this? Randy, the university. Oh, he's got something else to say too. Okay, I have a
Okay,
client who has
what
just
I'll
been
tell
told.
you, I had my mic closed, sorry.
Okay,
So
it's
what
hard to
this
hear you.
is,
There you
this
go.
is a client I've been treating for a few months after her knee operation. She told me the other day about this fluid stuff. So she's in constant pain because of the nerve being cut. They cut her nerve. And it's caused a lot of pain. She has no feeling in the lower part of her legs. So I've been running pain frequencies and all sorts of different frequencies based on the emotions that she feeds back to me. And every time she sends me a voice message, I do an inner voice. Even it's a 3 voice messages a day, I do a new inner voice and send it to her. So this is something that just come up new, and I, if anybody's got any ideas on
Yep.
what I can do to, because this is causing a lot of emotional stress, and she's been through a lot already. So I don't think, you know, anything to help this lady. She's been a dear friend for many years. So
Oh my
Joyce, do you have
goodness.
any ideas, or
What kind,
anybody actually?
what kind of knee surgery did she have, Randy? Was it a
She had,
arthroscopy or what?
yeah, they replaced a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And they
I can't
cut a nerve.
remember.
All right,
Yeah,
now, was that nerve, were they able to, to, put it back together? Sometimes they can stitch a nerve together, but it doesn't always work the same.
no, because she is to the point that she's not going to go back
Oh, yeah,
because
she's not to
of
them,
of the trust issue. And
right?
they said, she said, you guys have to fix this. Oh, well, sorry. I'm old doctor and I maybe slipped my hand or something. There's
Oh,
nothing
good
we
Lord.
can do. Right? You know? So and she said, no, she said, that's it. I've lost my trust. And I don't blame her.
No,
I don't
don't
blame her.
either.
And she,
Um,
and
I can
she's,
tell you that, I've helped people with meniscal tears, which, are, I realize it's a little bit different there, but still a tear, still, some issues of almost severing. But, with the nerve being cut, not sure. I would say, you're gonna have to definitely give her some nerve ease for sure.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and maybe bump up her magnesium, because magnesium helps nerves as well, right?
hmm
So, but the thing is, she can hardly walk, and I don't know whether,
She is to the point that she probably spends more time in bed than out of it because of the pain when
oh,
she walks. She tries to get up and walk, tries to do different things, but after the pain levels get too high, she says, I just have to go lay down and rest.
well, and this is kind of my brother, because, he got a leg amputated, and it was by a doctor who had never done one, I'm confident, and did not know what he was doing, and butchered my brother's leg. And so he's got a lot of raw end nerves and muscles that are just there, and he's just a mess. He's never been out of pain. And so, I don't know if there's a lot that even frequency might do with that, but it certainly is worth a try. Try that 412. Do you have a hub?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. Well, do you know of anybody that does around you?
There's some people, they haven't got theirs yet. The
Okay,
thing is,
well,
I'm in Canada and she's in the US.
oh gosh, yeah. Well, maybe there'll be someone around her that will, because that 412 frequency, cures everything but death. I don't know. It surely did make a lot of difference in this lady who had excruciating pain. I usually don't have that much success with that much pain at one time. So I was really encouraged by that 412 frequency today, but that you have to put that in on the hub. So, but anyway, I would
So
say,
when you, I have a question to ask. In the hub, is it sine, transverse, or square wave?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
In the hub, when you put the 412 frequency in the hub, is it coming out as a transverse, a square, or a sine wave?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that. It's not, I don't see that. Okay.
Okay.
So, but whatever it did for this lady, I have seen others come to me with as much pain as she had. And while we got results, it took us longer to get those kinds of results. I mean, she could barely lift her knee over my threshold. And before she left, she propped her knee. She took her knee up and put her leg almost, up above, reaching up to her face. So that was
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I change your multicast frequencies every 3 days.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a very good idea,
from the feedback that she gives me.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea because I think that, if you don't mix it up a little bit, I mean, you're just, the same path is going in. So I feel like, you need to mix it up a little bit. So, but I think if she could get to a hub, that she might have at least a better chance for some chronic pain release.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Somebody else
Thank you,
might have
Joyce.
some ideas. Maybe you should, Steve might have some ideas too. He's not with us anymore, but, maybe.
I put it into the Solex support team
Yeah,
chat too. So, but
good,
thank you.
good.
Hey, Wendy.
Hey, Dolores.
Hey, I have a question. When you talk about using those AO tuners, I have those, but I don't really know exactly what to do with them. Can you put them anywhere? Like I have some chronic knee pain. I limp all the time. I feel guilty for still limping after hearing you talk. So I'm just wondering if that's what I should be using on my knees and where do you put them or for anybody.
Well, are you asking me or Wendy?
Well, you,
Okay.
either one of you.
Okay, well, I did that for a lady today with the AO tuners, the transducers. And of course, I have the little forks that go with them that, hold them. You have those too? Yeah.
Mhm.
And I put them at wherever the pain is. But what you've got to figure out is what is the real stressor of that knee pain? Now, have you had a database done to see what hits you have on it?
What do you mean? Oh, you mean just doing the different scans and stuff?
Oh, well, the database, if you, when you have completed like phase 2, you can open that database. If you haven't, if you want to send me your 10-second voice and call me with your information, I'll put you in and I'll do a database for you and see, because that shows you what stressors are on. Like, is it toxins? Is it bacteria? Is it parasites? What is it that's causing that knee pain? Rather than just, that it's a displaced, that you twisted it wrong or whatever. What is it that's manifesting in your knee to cause that pain? And that may be, but yes, to answer your question about the transducers, absolutely put it anywhere, like if you have pain, put it there. Do you have the wand by any chance?
No, but I should be getting my next 30% off thing and I'm going to order that with that.
You're gonna love it. That also, putting that wand on that knee will really help it too, and run it up and down the meridians. When you do your inner voice and you get or your easy scan, you get the printout of the meridians and the chakras.
Yeah,
Find out what meridian, look at the image, the picture, and, when you get especially when you get your wand, but find out what meridian runs down that knee and just run that wand up and down that meridian.
and that has to be done directly at the skin, right? Like I can't do it through my jeans or
It's
anything.
best to.
Yeah,
It's best to. Now, do you have your 660 band?
I do.
Do you wear that?
Well, I haven't done it lately.
Okay, then shame on you. Get your 660 band out and, swap it around because it does, I mean,
Different
on one
things.
arm, it's for kidneys and liver and, spleen and lungs and heart. And so do yourself a favor and do that because it's for pain as well. And, start wearing your 660 band again. We have so much available to us. And then do you like hammer? And when I say hammer, when I pull up, I have several protocols in my playlist, of course. But I will take, when I'm working with people, of course, you've heard Wendy talk about the erasing. So make sure that, and I've even heard that, you can hold that, your device right there at your knee, maybe, and just erase until you get it down a little bit. But I hammer, I keep playing that frequency for, the protocol that I have for back and knee pain or just knee pain. And I just keep playing it until I have them get up and walk. And I'm like, okay, or bend the knee or whatever. Now, let's see, is it going down? Is it going down? And I do it on a scale of 1 to 5. 10 is just too much for us to go down. So we do 1 and 5. And, so just watch your pain diminish. And I'm going to say this. I loved what Randy said the other day on our team page, because it is a lot mind over matter. And I can't remember exactly how I said it, but I sent it to my brother. And I said, because don't ever give in. Don't ever say, claim that pain, it is a lot, you manifest what you want to see yourself doing, which is walking freely without pain, which is, I mean, you just, you think it and become that as well. And, I feel like, that's the power that the Lord gives us. I mean, we pray to him, wanting him to, sprinkle this pixie dust over us and just, get us well, when he's like, look, I've given you all these things, so, and plus free will, so what are you going to do to make this happen for you? So, you just speak that with authority and, and just say, we are going to get rid of this. This is going to, and it's going to be right now. And so, will it come back? Maybe, but if you will let's just find out what the stressors are on that knee. And I don't mind running that database for you at all. And I'll send it to you. And it tells you, it just says right knee, and it'll list everything that is stressing your right knee. And so maybe if we can find the source, then you can correct that and your knee issue will go away too.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind.
Yeah,
Very
I just
generous, Joyce.
finished phase 1, signed up for phase 2 the other day, but
Good.
they haven't opened up any of those things to me yet. So,
well, I've heard sometimes they didn't open mine up until I finished phase 2, but other people I've heard, as soon as they pay for the class, they open up the database, but
They
they
did
didn't
not.
open mine up until I was finished.
yeah. So how do I get a hold of you then with that?
Here, I'll put it in the chat, but it's yeah.
Dolores, is it both knees?
Well, it is at this point, but the right knee is significantly worse and has been longer standing. The left one is getting tired of taking over.
Of supporting, yeah.
Yes.
supporting
Yeah,
the
that's
other
what I
one,
was gonna
yeah.
say. Usually that's what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Anybody else before we go?
anybody
This has
else?
been a great call, but we're bumping up to an hour and a half.
I know
Well-
the Super Bowl's about to start.
Oh, it already has started.
Oh, okay.
If nobody else has a question, I have another one.
Okay.
So my sister has been having issues with her breathing. Like she'll wake up in the middle of the night and will have a hard time getting a breath. And like she feels like there's a lot of mucus that hasn't been coming up. And she gets up and she sits up for a couple of hours and makes a cup of coffee and just tries to calm down so she doesn't panic over not being able to breathe. I did a scan on her the other day, did the inner voice, and almost every one of the possible causes showed up as some type of parasite. So I told her to just play those frequencies over and over again, and, did some other things, but, I don't know, I was talking with some other people that I know, and they were saying, well, some of those parasites could be, energetic parasites. She's been through a lot of grief, and so we're
Grief
kind
is
of,
very impactful on the lung, as you well know, right?
yeah. So, we kind of
Help
suspected.
her clear those emotions, just like I was telling you earlier with that solfeggio. Just go in there, liberating fear and guilt and fear, I think is how it's said. And she's the only one that can rebuke those emotions. No,
Yeah,
And I would
And
think
so-
the quantum flowers would be really helpful for that.
absolutely, the quantum
Okay.
flowers will. But let me just say this: I would look really closely at fungus as well.
yeah, I've been asking her if there's anything, because there was one possible cause that said mold. And so I was asking her about that, but there was like, I think one other possible cause that was different. All the rest of them that showed up in that thing were about parasites. And it was
Mhm.
just like, holy cow,
And in your inner voice, you're talking about.
Yeah.
But could be just, a mold or a mold fungus really bearing down on her lungs, or it could be the grief, but the grief, and I tell people, and this lady today, that's what she has such great release, because she has been grieving. She and her father were very close, and she's been grieving the death of her father for 2.5 years. I'm like, your father would never want you to be sick over losing him. He
Right.
would never want you to be in this condition, because you hang on to the good memories. When you lose someone or whatever, you hang on to the good memories, and you just, you let that go, because, bearing that yourself and taking it on and making you sick is not going to do any good. But anyway, but she's the only one that can rebuke that, but she needs to do that. And, and the sooner the better. But, yeah, I would not dismiss, and I would kind of follow the thread of the mold and fungus for real. But the full moon, parasite cleanse, ever do that. Yeah.
So are you talking actually taking a supplement for parasite cleansing, or are you talking doing the?
I like the pumpkin seeds, the pineapple, and the tablespoon of cinnamon for the full moon, 3 months, 3 days before and during the full moon, and 3 days after, and then running the parasite cleanse during that time. But
Drink
that's what I
lots of
like.
water.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, and when you send me your voice, I'll send you the
Okay, that
recipe.
would be helpful. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you so much.
Natural parasite cleansing is pumpkin seeds.
Is what?
Natural parasite cleanse for many years is pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seeds is absolutely. I take a handful of pumpkin seeds every time before I eat. Yeah.
Huh. Okay, cool.
They
Thank
don't like pumpkin seeds. They don't like cloves. I
Right.
take 4 or 5 cloves, 3 or 4 cloves, whole cloves, and just put them in my mouth, and, freshens your breath, but they hate cloves.
Do you chew them up or just hold them in
No,
your
I
mouth,
just chew on them.
chew
yeah.
on them, then spit it out?
If
Or
you
you
don't
can
like
drink
the
clove
taste,
water.
you can add a little olive oil with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Okay, well, this has been amazing, and I want to let anybody that will be hearing this recording later, I would like to invite them to our testimonies page. So if you have a Telegram account already, you look for AO scan testimonies. No, you can put spaces in there, AO space scan testimonies. And if you don't have one already, you have to go to telegram.org and sign up for it. Just get yourself an account and then look for us. And the other option is to reach out to somebody you know who shared this with you, and they can give you the link so you can just go right there.
Right.
Joyce?
Well, thanks so much for inviting me. I feel honored to
Well,
do this and to share.
Thank you. This has been, I know this is going to be one of my favorite videos to share with people so that they know it is for real, and not just me saying it.
Yeah,
And
it does make a difference.
we appreciate all the difference you are making to help people's lives better. That's, I think, in our hearts, all that we want to do too is just help people and do what we can for them. And it's been a joy for me to get to know you and to see the work you're doing. You just amaze me, and I could just fall all over you easily. You know, I mean, you are absolutely amazing, and we appreciate it. And we love the testimonies that you share. So that's why you got that team player, mover, and shaker. Because like you don't just go out there and do the work, which is the greatest part, but you share with us. You come into the group. Yeah, we really appreciate you. We get a lot from your participation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love all you guys.
All right. Good night, everybody. Go enjoy that football game. Hope your
Yeah,
team
good
wins.
night.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.